What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Bottom Line on Sports, our little show about the intersection of sports and money. He's Jeremy Pink, Duke graduate, Ohio State graduate. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor, and we, my friends, have a number for the day.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
A dollar, a buck 50, $1.50.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this. I spent $2.33 on a 16.8-ounce bottle of water today. So,
Okay.
a
But if
buck
you,
50.
yeah, but if you were at the Masters, you could get a pimento cheese sandwich for $1.50.
I
Pretty
don't know if
remarkable.
I want a pimento cheese sandwich for free. But now I will say this.
Okay, you could get an egg salad sandwich for $1.50.
Okay, I have stories on both of those.
Oh, good Lord. All right.
So I come from a family where both my parents have PhDs. There's some bouginess that runs through my veins.
All right.
My mother,
I come from a family where one of my parents has a PhD. So we're 75% PhD. I didn't realize that. Okay, that's good.
yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
And so my mother used to like pimento cheese sandwiches. She used to have pimento cheese in the refrigerator. I never ate it. I was a
Sounds
fat
like
guy.
a woman with fine taste. Yeah.
See, I was a fat kid, but I never ate that pimento cheese. Now, my other thing is,
Now, have you never eaten pimento cheese?
I tried it. I didn't like it.
You didn't like it.
So
Okay.
she could buy as much of that as she wanted to, and
Okay.
it was always going to be there every time she
Okay.
opened up the fridge.
Okay. Maybe that's why she
Now,
bought it. Yeah.
my mother made a great egg salad sandwich.
Hmm.
But when I went to the New York, I spent a summer at the New York Times interning, and I got a hold of those New York City delis. And one of those delis had the best egg salad sandwich with bacon on it I'd ever had. And I probably gained 20 pounds over the summer eating those,
Uh-huh.
3 times a day, 3 times a week.
Right.
So those are my two sandwich stores.
Okay. Okay. Those are
So
very.
I will pay $1.50 for an egg salad sandwich. I ain't paying $1.50 for a
Well,
pimento cheese
yeah.
sandwich.
No, but it's interesting because the Masters is kind of like this is what really one of the things we want to talk about since we're taping this on a Wednesday night. The first round of the Masters is Thursday morning when we're tomorrow morning when we're
Wow.
likely to release. Yeah. Which so but the Masters is kind of unlike other sporting events because it really doesn't rely on television money as a way to really fund it. It actually takes greater control over its brand and doesn't rely on media rights in order to really fund it. It relies on merchandise, tickets, sponsorship. It controls who the sponsors are. It controls the number of ad minutes per hour. It's very judicious in terms of how it parses out its
When did
TV.
when did the Masters become such a big behemoth? It could do like this. It could operate
The
like.
Masters has been doing this for years. The rights are signed. There's no real contract. The rights are signed, kind of renewed every year. It's changed a little bit this year because I think Amazon, one of the streamers, is running some of this. But it's really controlling the event to try to control the brand itself,
Right.
which I think it's just a very different model than everything that happens. And there's a whole lore about keeping the prices of concessions really low, like pimento cheese, the egg salad sandwich, whatever it is. Like a beer is $6, you know, which for a sporting event, that's very, very low.
Yeah, I was gonna say most time, and I'm not a beer drinker, but most beers are like at least $10 and
Yeah,
12, $14.
yeah. So I think so it's fascinating to see the Masters right now, and how it's kind of held on its traditions as the kind of the sporting world has kind of blown up and evolved dramatically around it. It's kind of this very sacrosanct entity, and I
Right.
think you kind of feel that when you watch it on TV and you hear people talk about it.
No, it's I was laughing because I saw something earlier this week. I kind of knew this, but it's always funny when I look at it. The Masters are so haughty that they're not fans, they're patrons, and it's not the rough, it's the second cut, which is funny to me because it's the U.S. Open. It's like, oh no, it's in the rough. Let's make it like 10 feet
Yeah,
tall.
yeah.
You got bunkers, not sand traps. The second nine, not the back nine, and the tournament practice area
Uh-huh.
as opposed to the driving range.
Right.
Now I can't remember the answer to this. You play enough golf to be invited to tournaments, but you don't really play.
Me, yeah, I played a lot when I was living overseas, and I just got sick. I mean, again, I just got sick of it. I'll tell you what I used to do. I was so into it for a while. I'll tell you a quick golf story. And again, this is going to make me sound fancy, but I used to live in Asia for a long time, and I was based in Singapore. And what I would do is we would go to Bali, which is, you can go to Bali easily from Singapore. And I would go to Bali for the weekend with my family. And what I would do is, because I was so into golf at the time, we'd stay somewhere that was right near a golf course, and I would wake up at 5 a.m., play a round of golf on my own,
On your own.
meet my family for lunch at 9, meet my family for breakfast at 9 a.m. And I used to do that all the time, you know.
Really?
And yeah, whenever I traveled, I would find places, wake up early, play before anybody else did to play alone. But then people started wanting to play with me. And as you know, even before COVID, I was socially distancing. And so then I was forced to like play golf with other people, and that's where my interest in golf started to wane. When I started playing for work, even though it was nice, I played all over the world. I could play for work. I was just playing so much, and then after a while, it was like it takes so long that I kind of gave up on it when I moved back to the United
Well, how
States.
good did you get?
Uh, Sadly, I wasn't very good. But I could play, it wasn't like I could play with pretty much anybody, but I wasn't one of the good players, but I wouldn't slow anybody down.
So,
Yeah.
so I don't deal in handicaps. So you shooting par? You shooting
No,
low
no, no, no.
70,
I
mid
could shoot
80s?
yeah, I could shoot mid 80s to low 90s depending on the course. I mean, the courses, especially in Asia, were a lot shorter, so I was a little bit better, but um, you know, but that's my thing. And we used to when I was overseas, I was also running a television network where we ran golf on the weekends, and
All right.
and I inadvertently picked up we ran golf tournaments over the weekend, and I inadvertently picked up a feed of the Masters on one of the networks I worked on, and ran that one year, which became a big problem. So, but anyway, turns out that we did it a week delayed, and it was just an error that our team
Oh.
made. But again, I took the hit for it, and it was one of those, as you do. So anyway,
So have you been to the Masters?
I have, yeah, beautiful.
Oh, when'd you
Yeah.
go?
I went probably about 10 years ago, something like
Oh,
that.
not
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah. But it's beautiful. But the thing about the Masters is they don't let anybody in. You got to kind of get a
So how do
ticket,
you
and
how do you
yeah.
get there? How do you get in?
I was
Besides, you got to know somebody, but
Well, I was working in an organization that provided, at the time I was running a sports broadcasting business, and we did the entire tournament, and worked together with the broadcaster. So we had a TV truck, and they let a couple of people in, but it was still very, very difficult to get in.
wow.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
That's the Masters.
Yeah, that's the
That's the
master. So it's stayed. Listen, I think it's a great product. It's a great TV product. The CBS does a phenomenal job. They've always done a phenomenal job covering it. And it is a huge moneymaker, and it attracts high-end sponsors, and their business model does not include relying on TV rights. Fascinating.
now. How come everybody else relies on TV rights?
Because
Because they're not big enough to make any money by without it.
no, I mean, I think you can, because that's the big money. And also the Masters is its own entity, as opposed to, the PGA Tour will negotiate with the
Oh
networks for
yeah,
TV. Yeah, the NFL will negotiate with networks. It's a little bit different. I believe, if I recall correctly, the U.S. Open is part of the USGA and not the PGA, so they have a slightly different arrangement as well. But the
right.
Masters is its own thing, and
Yeah.
it's like Wimbledon or Roland Garros, things like that.
So if you're at the Masters this weekend, enjoy yourself a pimento cheese sandwich
Yeah.
and its green wrapper.
Are you gonna watch any of it, or absolutely none of it?
I was contemplating before Tiger had his problem.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm working on a big project I'll tell you all about sometime soon. and so I'll be stuck in my office working this weekend. So there's a chance I have it on. Uh, Hopefully, it's compelling. Who's supposed to win it? Scheffler?
Uh, Scheffler is, I think he's the favorite right now. You've got John Rahm as the favorite. I think a lot of the insiders are saying this is a year Bryson DeChambeau might win it. But the thing is, the Masters has all the big names in it, so it's one of the few tournaments of the year where you
Right.
actually have some star power and some big names that are in it. But they're outside of DeChambeau, there really isn't a breakout
I
kind
just
of
want to know if
star.
Tiger's going to show up for the Champions dinner.
I think Tiger is Tiger's got other things going on. I think Tiger might I don't even think Tiger's in the country right now. But
Oh,
but again, I may have him confused with somebody else. But I think Tiger's got
it's got
Tiger's got other issues. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
he does.
anyway, bottom line for you on the Masters.
Hey, get a pimento cheese sandwich. Just because I like it doesn't mean you shouldn't like it.
Bottom line for you on the Masters, one of the great sporting events of the year, very iconic. Uh, and love how they do business to keep it as iconic as they have.
Living as you do in New York, near New York City, are you an Uber? Are you a regular Uber person?
Only when I travel. I have
Okay,
I'm like a 15-20 minute drive into New York City. I generally either drive into New York or I'll take a ferry into New York.
a
So
ferry.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's
I
F
said
F Ferry. Yeah,
I was going to say you
yeah,
ride
I
it
know,
like a wing
I know.
first.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah.
Uh, I said that because when you got an Uber, and my son found this out because my son is normally pretty good about checking with me before things, but he came up with this bright idea. Him and his boys were going somewhere, some event, and they were going to catch. Somebody was dropping them off, and they were just going to catch an Uber back,
Uh-huh.
and they got hit with those surge prices,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they were very upset and very sad and very broke for a couple weeks. And so that's a segue to get into when we look at these sporting event tickets, man. They're going the surge route these days.
Yeah, I mean, it was the NBA playoffs are right around the corner, and
Not in
with
Dallas.
yeah, well, that they will be next year at this time. You might get a good draft pick. Maybe you'll get I don't know. Maybe you'll get a cuff. Maybe I don't know. Uh, but what happens with some of the teams now, they have essentially, dynamic pricing around playoff games. They have dynamic pricing in general, but they have dynamic pricing around playoff games, and it's kind of like surge pricing. So you see, the relative demand for a playoff ticket on a market by market basis is different, and so we were just looking at a couple of those, and like the market demand in the cities that have dynamic pricing in a place like San Antonio is pretty high this year because they're excited about the team. This is the first time they've really been in the playoffs in a while. They seem to be maybe one of 3 or 4 teams that can win an NBA title this year. So their surge pricing is high, or their dynamic pricing is high relative to something like OKC, which is a defending champion, and it's sort of while the demand is still high and the prices are still high relative to something like San Antonio, they're lower because it's not sort of as exciting this year since they won the title last year.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but I guess it makes sense if you've especially a place where you've won it, okay, because they banged down the door for 3 or 4 years, but they won it, and that's like the thrill is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still cool, but it's not nearly like it was when you're trying to win it. And so I think sometimes what happens is people also say, you know, I'll catch up in the next round, or I'm waiting to the finals,
Yeah,
or you
I think that's right. I think that's
know.
right. Who do you think's going to win if you had to rank your top 3 teams that could win the NBA title this year? Who do you think?
Oh, the NBA is built for dynasties. I think Oklahoma City is going to be tough to beat. Um, but playoff basketball is also about matchups. So I say Oklahoma City is going to be tough to beat, but who's the one team that kicks
San
their butt every time they play?
uh, San
San
Antonio,
Antonio.
but it's the regular season, which is a totally different brand of basketball.
This is true, but they're going. If they meet up in the playoffs, San Antonio will have no fear of
That's
Oklahoma
true.
City,
That's true.
and so that makes anytime you playing an opponent that doesn't really fear you, it makes for a tricky situation. But now somebody knocks off San Antonio before they get to Oklahoma City, then I think Oklahoma City's by far the best team. They're the most versatile team,
Hmm.
a defensive team. They've already been there and won it, so now they know what the process is like. Celtics could be dangerous as Jason Tatum comes back.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the wear and tear from the
Yeah.
season on him. I don't know why we don't believe in Detroit, even though they've got like one of the best records in the East.
Detroit
Uh,
can't score. Detroit's not going to be able to score in the playoffs. I think you've got four teams that can win it.
who that?
OKC
Yes,
in this order: OKC, Denver, Boston, and San Antonio. I think those are the teams that can win it.
Denver. I haven't really. I mean, I know Jokic is great, but I haven't really even paid attention to them.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon just came back in the last maybe month or two. They got Peyton Watson back. They've got Christian Brown back. They had a lot of injuries this year. It's a good team. I
Right?
think that's a team. I think the West is so far superior to the East.
Yeah,
And I don't even know. I mean, I think the other team that might be able to come out of the East is Detroit. But I mean, but Detroit can't score. They have no offense,
and
and
they haven't. The NBA is also it's a stepping stone league in a lot of ways.
yeah,
You gotta spend a little time in the playoffs, get used to playoff basketball.
yeah,
And Detroit hadn't done anything in so long. This is everything about this be a first time around for them.
yeah, yeah. And
That's hard to.
you could say the same for San Antonio also, which makes them, I think, that's why I would
Yeah,
put Denver more likely to win than San Antonio. But
but San Antonio got the seven Hiratali is Wimby, and we
Wemby's
got
tough.
Wimby. Is you got a whole different deal. Like they can come in with Wimby and just win just because they have that guy.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
who's a game changer all by himself in
Hmm.
terms of not just points and rebounds, but altering shots and defensive presence.
Sure, sure.
Um,
He'll be defensive player of the year for sure. But when you go back to this, sort of the dynamic pricing in and around playoff basketball, do you think that's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing for the secondary market guys because all of a sudden they can't really get that arbitrage that they were able to get before?
I don't give two dead flies about the secondary market people because
I get it. I get it.
their
I'm just
markup is ridiculous anyway. Although I
but
used to be a secondary market person, so I
right.
understand.
But what do you
Um,
think? But is this good for the fans? Is it bad for the fans? I mean, what do you think?
I think it's you know what, man? I just think it is what it is. It meaning this is it. I just talked about Uber. Airlines have dynamic pricing.
That's true.
Hotels have dynamic pricing. You show up in this city for the Super Bowl, in your hotel room is $1,700 a night.
Hmm.
You show up 2 weeks later, same exact room is $300, and you're like, are the sheets different? Is the comfort different?
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's
So
the event.
so this is
So
just sort of the inevitable creep of dynamic pricing
you
in
know
our
what?
lives.
I think we had it good. They just
Right.
now started doing it. We
Well,
had
I actually think the dynamic pricing was happening in the secondary market, you know?
yeah. No, that's
Yeah. And I think that now, it is to the point where people who are buying, in theory, people who are buying the tickets probably actually want to go as opposed to trying to buy the
no,
tickets and then
yeah.
resell them.
I
So
tell you,
maybe, yeah.
you just made me think of something. Texas. I'm sure other teams would do this because Texas Rangers is not an innovative ball club. Um,
Didn't they
no,
get
but
swept by the Reds this week? Yeah.
they just swept the Mariners today.
Swept
So
by the Reds? Yeah, my old Reds
oh
logo. Yeah.
yeah, front runner. Uh,
This is from the Big Red Machine from me growing up, you know?
I think the Rangers have dynamic pricing themselves, meaning the same seat for the Pittsburgh Pirates
Oh, right.
is not the same seat for the Yankees and the
Yeah.
Red Sox or the Dodgers.
Yeah. They probably have a variation of it, but this is like a
Yeah,
real time dynamic pricing that a lot of these places have now. And I
so
think
real time,
yeah.
meaning it could be different at various times.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's like, it's depending on the demand. But it's
so let me ask you this. Now,
yeah.
based off of that, would you be a person who goes and gets your ticket in advance, or would you go and get it at the gate and just be
Uh,
like, let me see how it's rocking?
yeah, that's a good question. I would probably get it. Well, I'll give you my example here, right? So I'm going to US. I'm going. It's family weekend at USC, and it's my daughter's senior year in college this year, right?
Right,
So I was saying, okay, it's in it purely by chance and coincidence. It happens to be the Ohio State game weekend too.
right.
It also happens to be Halloween.
Oh
Okay,
wow, I
which
love it.
make yeah, which makes the which makes the hotel rooms in LA, particularly in the down and particularly in certain parts of LA, like obnoxiously more expensive than they used to be. So
Really?
I
Already?
yeah, so I actually booked our hotel room a few months ago already. So
Really?
that answers your question. I would probably do it in advance if I knew. How about
Wow.
you? How about you?
I'm usually an advanced guy because I don't want the hassle of haggling.
Right.
Some people enjoy the hassle,
Hmm.
and some people are like me. I don't even want to talk to you.
Right.
And so I would probably get it in advance. But I don't know. This is all very interesting. The whole dynamic pricing thing is cool. The world is going to that, so I don't really have a
Yeah.
problem with it. And if you want to go to the game, go to the game.
Yeah.
And I believe in experiences. So, like, you've I'm not quite there yet, but I'm leaning toward it. I haven't been to the Coliseum before. That would be cool.
Oh yeah, you got to come out. We'll get that I can get decent tickets because we can get tickets at a special price, So I can get decent tickets, but we'll buy a couple of extra. You make sure, we'll make sure you're out there. Um, but yeah, I think I actually think that dynamic pricing long term is probably good because, one of the tricks in the New York, particularly for if you ever want to go to a Brooklyn Nets game,
Yeah, who
one of
wants to go to them?
yeah, not many people, but one of the tricks when they were good and when like KD was here and Harden
Right,
was here, they were good. It was tough to get, tickets were a little bit pricier. But one of the tricks about the Brooklyn Nets, and I have talked to other people in different markets, and it's the same thing, is if you go, the Brooklyn Nets are in a really nice part of Brooklyn. There's like a lot to do around there. If you go
right.
there, let's say the game starts at 7. If you go there at around 6 o'clock and go in the secondary markets, the ticket prices start to plunge because they don't think they can sell them. So that's
Right.
a trick. So if you can go in an area that has like a lot going on, and if you don't get the tickets, you're still in a good area. It's one of the best ways to get cheap tickets is that you wait until like a half an hour before the game and these ticket prices plunge.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I've got a good friend of mine who runs a secondary market business. Like that's his
Yeah.
job. He owns.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes just talking to him about how prices fluctuate, and it's interesting because the thing can also happen in reverse.
Sure.
Like when Luka Doncic got hurt and missed, a
Oh,
bunch of
of course.
games before the Mavericks traded him,
Uh-huh.
all those tickets that in your mind when you purchased them as the owner, you're like, oh, I got a 50% markup on this and a
Yeah, yeah.
40 on that and a 30
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
and just 20 across the board. Man, you couldn't get them tickets away
Yeah. Yeah,
because the team wasn't any good, and then they
yeah,
had
but
nobody to watch.
but it's not it's not dissimilar to what happens in the in the betting markets.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
the, the odds shift depending on demand. Everything it just becomes a dynamic based on the supply and demand of whatever that particular item is.
yeah.
And
It's
so
what your risk aversion is.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think ticket prices are so outrageous for the average, consumer. But
Yeah,
for those who can afford it, it's probably you're probably going to end up paying, not a dissimilar amount that you would have paid in the secondary market at the end of the day.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Tickets are expensive. I forgot how expensive they were because not only as a reporter was I going to games free, but because
Yeah.
I worked at the newspaper, I had
Oh,
access
oh,
to free
believe me.
tickets,
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
through the team or through the newspaper. You know, you could get tickets if you wanted tickets. And then, man, when you start paying for them, you're like, wow.
I know. I know. It is a shock when I've had the access to tickets for years and years and years up until a few years ago.
Yeah.
And you kind of
And
It is they're expensive now, yeah.
I
But
feel the pain when people talk about a family of four. Like you could easily spend $750 on a game night, easy,
easy, easy.
without even working. And a
No,
thousand's not out of the question.
not at all.
And I'm not talking even. I'm talking for solid seats, not
Mhm,
spectacular seats.
mhm.
Just solid. I mean, even baseball tickets. Baseball, you used to think like, oh, I can get into a baseball game for $10. Man, I tried to get again good seats, not great seats. They're like $85, $90 a ticket.
For the Rangers?
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean they got to pay for this new stadium, so you know. So it's not a complaint. It's just that's the cost of doing business.
Yeah, I mean, because my wife and I were looking at, oh, let's we had like an afternoon free on the weekend, and we saw and the Knicks were playing, so we went in and we said, oh, let's try to get tickets to the Knicks game, and we looked on the secondary market, and I think the cheapest ticket that and I think it was maybe because they were playing the Spurs, but I think the cheapest ticket was like $400 to $500 in the nosebleeds, and it's like I'm not paying that, you know. I just
No, not like
I can't. Yeah.
no. I have to be able to see the court. I don't like sitting in the nosebleeds.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not. Yeah,
I like if I'm going to pay, I don't mind paying, but I want to see the game.
of course. Of course. Yeah, no, I totally agree. But but I just think it's I do think it's really it seems like, oh my gosh, dynamic pricing is happening. And as you start to think about it more and more, it's like it's inevitable. And ultimately, the market dictates the price of tickets at the end, whatever people are going to pay for it. And you see that with, I mean, I remember when I was based in Atlanta and the Braves were having one of their really bad seasons. This is sort of your thing about the reverse trend.
Yeah,
And they were running they were running an ad called One More Time. Go to the Braves games, for August and September tickets. Go to the Braves games for one more time. And it was like, $5 and you got like a hot dog. They just wanted people to show up in the stands. So
please.
so
Yeah.
it works both directions.
No.
But it doesn't obviate the inherent issue with the fact that ticket prices in general are so unbelievably expensive and so out of the reach for almost for the vast majority of the public.
And bottom line for me is dynamic pricing is on anything. I can't believe it took this long to hit sporting tickets markets.
Yeah. Bottom line for me is it's inevitable. Dynamic pricing is essentially happening everywhere, and ultimately, it's not going to impact the consumer one way or another. But what is going to impact the consumer are these incredibly high price tickets, no matter where you buy them.
Yeah. And that takes us to our favorite topic of the week.
Go
It's always
Bucks!
Ohio State football. There was big news about Ohio State football in Texas this week.
Oh, I didn't know that. What is that?
Um, Bryce Boyd lost his black stripe. Now,
Okay. Okay, that sounds like code for something. I don't know what. Yeah.
okay, here's the deal. This is an Ohio State tradition. When you are a freshman or a transfer, they put a black stripe in the
Oh,
middle of your
yeah.
helmet.
Sorry. Yeah.
And when they feel like you have assimilated into the program
The,
and you are now ready to be a Buckeye, they take the black stripe off and say, "Welcome to the team." And it's a big ceremony. I mean, they do
who's
it
Rice?
after.
Who is Rice Boyd? I don't even know that
I'm
name.
gonna tell you, man.
Okay, all right.
So they do it after practice. Your position coach comes up to the front. Hey, Bryce Boyd, take your black. Come up here in front. And then they have like he's a receiver. They have somebody else in the position group say, "Bryce has been killing it in practice. We love his effort. Welcome him to the team." So that's a nice little ceremony. Bryce Boyd is a receiver from. Okay, this is an interesting thing because we had a conversation about him in the gym this week. He's a receiver from South Lake, Texas, which is probably about 25 miles west of downtown Dallas. It's a
Okay,
very affluent neighborhood.
so
It's part,
not too far from you then. Yeah,
well, not relatively speaking, no.
yeah.
Um,
Because anyway. Yeah, go ahead.
um, it's probably from the second most affluent community in Dallas, in the Dallas Fort Worth area.
What's the first most? I'm curious.
Highland Park, which is
Highland
right.
Park.
That's where Jerry Jones lives.
Okay.
Right in it's 2 minutes from SMU.
Okay. Oh, right,
So
right, 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 right,
that's
right.
the most affluent
Okay.
part of Dallas.
Uh-huh.
South Lake is probably the second,
Hmm.
could be the third, but it's you
It's
get
up
the
there.
idea.
It's up there.
Rich folks live out there.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Mostly white folks,
Uh-huh.
but it's a place where a lot of athletes live. So
Hmm.
you have a sprinkling of black kids who are Mavericks or Cowboys kids who, probably retired 10 years ago. Now
Hmm.
their kids going to high school.
Hmm.
So he was a 3-star wide receiver. This is my opinion. I think he's a 3-star wide receiver because he's a white guy. You know what
Oh,
I
okay.
mean?
Yeah.
Because he's like 6'1".
Uh-huh.
He weighs about 190,
Uh-huh.
but his brother, who's like his brother's, I think his brother just went to the combine and ran 4.38.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So that's what I mean when I say people saw a white receiver,
Yeah.
and he comes from they're a very successful program. Like they go 4 or 5 rounds into the state tournament
Uh-huh.
every year.
Uh-huh. What
So
division? What are they
they're
what
the
division are they?
highest division.
They're
Like
like what,
I
six
think,
A? Is that what it is? I can't even
yeah,
remember anymore.
I
Yeah, yeah.
think my son played against him a couple years ago when they were
Uh-huh.
in the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
So but anyway, he's a technician at receiver. Like he's legit. And check this out, he wasn't even the best receiver on their team.
That's scary. Yeah.
Uh, but here's the deal: they're a classic Texas high school football power, meaning it's a one high school town. It's probably about 35,000 people in the city, and this was the case a few years ago. In their little league programs, they're all running the Dragon offense. So by the time you get to middle
Yeah.
school and high
Yeah.
school, you can run 23 blasts with your
Right.
eyes closed because you've been doing it
Yeah.
since you were 7 years old.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, he got his black stripe off. Um, and so that was big news in Dallas because he was the first one, and he's from Dallas.
Is
And
he gonna play? Is he gonna play this year at Ohio State, do you think?
now
Is he gonna
Ryan
get on the
Day
field?
said, uh, I would think so.
Because they
Ryan
got
Day said he's quite a technician.
uh-huh.
Now he's also been in Dallas. This is far more than you wanted to know about Brock Boyd,
Hmm.
but he's been working out with this guy named David Robinson, who is like he worked out with Jackson Smith and Jigba
Hmm.
and all these guys when they were in high school.
Hmm.
So he's already put several dudes
Hmm.
in the NFL.
Hmm.
And Boyd has apparently been working out with him since he was like in the 7th grade,
Wow.
which is one reason he's such a really good route runner.
Right.
So Ryan Day had several very good things to say about him last week. And like I said, that's more than you wanted to know about him. And I was using that as a segue to get into Jeremiah Smith said he turned down 8 digits to
Yeah,
stay with Buck.
apparently he was interviewed and he said that one school he said something to the effect of I could have easily gotten $10 million to go to another school, which large I mean that would have probably he's probably talking about Miami since he's from Miami. That would be what I would guess, because
Yeah,
I think he was pretty close to going to Miami anyway instead of Ohio State, which brings up the point, which is he went to Ohio State largely because he knew he could be developed there as a receiver. He knew he
right.
was going to get the great coaching there. The question is that's going to be the question starting this year since Hartline is in South Florida.
Well, they on paper they did what they were supposed to do. They hired the wide receivers coach from LSU.
Hmm.
And if you said who's the other program producing as many wide
Yeah, it's
receivers
true.
as Ohio State, you'd say LSU.
Yeah, LSU and Ohio
So
State are the two. Yeah.
so they did on paper what they were supposed to do. Now the question will be, can that dude replicate the same success he had at LSU at Ohio State? And
Yeah.
then if he can, it'll continue. Ryan Day's got to develop the quarterbacks. This guy's got to develop the receivers. But my whole thing is this is all wonderful. This is all great. You still need that dude toting the rock to
Oh
set
yeah.
everything else up.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Because our inability to run on 3rd and short and 4th and short is that cost us a national championship last year.
Oh, for sure. And but it's also the offensive line. They haven't had a
Yeah,
good yeah, it's they haven't had a great offensive line
that's a good way to say it. They've had good
for
ones.
years.
They haven't had those road graders where there's just nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, yeah, and also you also look when I look back on it, this is to your point. The more I look back on their national title run a couple of years ago, Judkins was such a key piece to that
Yeah,
because he could get he could get a yard, he could get in the end zone anytime. Also, Will Howard's just a monster, and he could also was very underrated runner. I thought, well, not underrated, but he
right.
was he was a good runner, and he could also get a couple of yards if you needed it. They didn't have that last year at all.
Nah, and then if you put Judkins and Henderson together, you always had a bad dude on the field.
That's true.
You never went without a guy like, okay, well, let's make sure we get the running back straight because if not, he's about to go 60.
Yeah,
And that alone opens up everything else. And Bo Jackson is really, really good,
yeah.
but he ain't that level
No,
yet.
Bo
Maybe
Jackson.
he'll be this year, but he wasn't last year. He was good. He was really good. But
He was a B plus last year, which is
yeah,
amazing, but he was not an A. No way.
right. And there
Yeah.
is and this only matters when you're talking about trying to win national championships.
Hmm.
That's the difference between your offense with a B running back, even a B plus, and an A minus.
Hmm. And they had C.J. Donaldson, which looked like he was going to be the guy at the beginning
Yeah,
of the year, but he never, for whatever reason, he either fell out of favor or that never worked out.
right, right.
But yeah, so that'll be tricky for Ohio State this year. Do you think Jeremiah Smith will have a uh, huge year this year or not?
He's going to do what he does. A lot of it depends on the quarterback. They have and they have a much more difficult schedule on paper. So the competition will be difficult, but I mean that's why you go to Ohio State.
Yeah.
So he's going to do what he does. If Chris Henry is who he's supposed to be, then Jeremiah Smith will still do his thing because Chris Henry will bust your behind on the other side. And
Right.
I mean, it'll be kind of like Tate and Jeremiah, where as soon as you turn your head because Tate's killing you, that's when he'll show up and get it. And they may because Chris Henry's a freshman, they may make an even more concerted effort to get him the ball and some hitches and some
That's
screens.
interesting. Yeah, early. Yeah, yeah, to get him. Yeah, it'll be. Yeah, I have no feel for what's going to happen this season at all.
No, that
I
makes it fun.
really don't.
I mean, they're always going to be good. Um,
Hmm.
and they're a problem for everybody. Their schedule's more difficult, but ain't nobody like, oh, goody, we get to play Ohio State. Because it's gonna
Yeah,
be an all day thing.
yeah, yeah. But again, I think it's going to be the Big Ten is going to be so much better than every conference this year, without any,
Hey, yeah,
you know,
and
uh,
with that, comes more losses or more
yeah,
tenuous games,
yeah,
and it's it's fun to beat people 50-0, but it's also fun to win 28-24 and have some
yeah.
tension.
This is the new
This is
college
new
football.
SEC.
Yeah. Well, it's new. Yeah, the SEC doesn't is and by the way, you saw it with the NCAA tournament too. I mean, the Big Ten was so dominant in the NCAA tournament
Yeah,
too, and you had two Big Ten teams win the women's and men's titles this year as well, and
yeah,
then in
yeah,
NCAA. Yeah, so it's become a world of the big schools, and the biggest schools are in the Big Ten, and
yeah.
that's which, by the way, in hindsight, when you look at it, how smart was it for USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington to join the Big Ten? And people thought it was crazy.
Right.
Unbelievably smart move in hindsight.
Yeah, it don't make no sense geographically,
No, doesn't.
uh, and they're not reaping all the rewards. Well, I guess UCLA just won a championship, so yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
Uh, Now see that's why the men's coach Nick Cronin needs to shut up. While he's bitching and moaning and whining after every game, the women just go and took care of business. Um, no, it ended up being a good move for them, and if they ever get back to what they should be in football, um, you know, it's I mean, it made the conference even more difficult
Oh my
because
God. Look, the conference has, Ohio State, the Wolverines, sort of, but I guess they'll probably come back this year. Penn State, sort of, but I guess they'll probably come back. Oregon's got, a top program. Indiana,
yeah,
possibly sustainable. You don't know.
right. USC,
USC. Um,
Washington.
Washington. So you're looking at 7 or 8. You know, Iowa pops up every now and then. Wisconsin, Michigan State. You got it's a good. There aren't that many Purdue's or Northwesterns in that conference, and even
No.
even even Northwestern sometimes can field a pretty good team. So
Yeah.
um, I don't know. Anyway, so Jeremiah Smith could have gotten 10 million. Is going to get about 4 million at Ohio State.
I bet
Uh,
he's
you
getting
know,
more.
I take the 4 million.
Yeah, I would too. That goes a long way in Columbus.
That does. That does. So, all right. All right. Well, I think that wraps this one up for the week.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. 5 stars only. Otherwise, we think you're being mean.
And we don't like when people are mean to us. Uh,
No.
but
So
anyway,
he's Jeremy Pink. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor. We'll check with you next week on another edition of the Bottom Line on Sports.
all right, everybody. We'll see you next week.